inside the header, I'm going to remove this text. I'm going to make some space, and we know that at the top we have a navbar. So I'm going to open a navbar element. Inside the navbar, usually we have a list of links. So it's usually an unordered list, and inside we have list elements. Oops. So it seems like this one we have to type it in, because otherwise it pre-fills something else when you type in li tab. So we've got the link element, and inside the link we're going to have an anchor tag. So that's a space href, and then we're going to fill in the href later. Just going to give it the name of the link, so usually it will be home. And if I copy this and paste it here twice, we usually have about and let's say register as links. Okay, so that's my navbar, and then I have an h1. Usually we'll say the name of the landing page, so it will be web dev course, and underneath I can have maybe an h3 to say introduction to coding. Right, so this is my header so far. I have a navbar and an h1 and an h3. If I save this and refresh, you can see I've got my links and I've got my h1 and h3s, although I have some space, some white space again here. So if I want to inspect that and just see where the white space is coming from, if I scroll through the elements here, body, header, you can see the header doesn't have any margin and neither does nav, but the unordered list seems to have a margin. It seems like it has a margin of 16 pixels. So in order to remove that, you can go to style, select the unordered list, and you can give it a margin of 0 pixels. And also to remove the styling of the list, the little dots, we can say list style none. If we refresh now again, you can see the dots are gone and the white space as well, and you can deal with the other ones later. So that's our navbar, our h1 and our h3. We want to maybe make the navbar a different color so we can tell it apart. So if we check as the nav element, so if you select navbar, and you can give it background color of white. Right, so now we can tell them apart. Moving on to the rest of the header, we just want to bring in a nice background picture, so the section is a bit higher, and it also, like, we have a representative picture for the website. So we know unsplash.com is a very useful website with free high resolution photos that we can use, and of course when we build professional websites we can credit them as well, but for now we can just use them. The easiest way to use the picture is by right clicking on the picture and then copy image on the image and then copy image address. Of course, if we were to develop a professional website, we would download the picture in our computer and then reference it from there. But for now, we're just gonna right click, copy image address, and I'm gonna go back to index HTML and see where do we want it. So we want this image to be the background of H1 and H3, right? So to make that easier, we can create a div and we can cut these from here. So we can do Control X on the keyboard or Command X for MacBook. Cut these and Control V to paste them in here, or Command V, and arrange the alignment. And now we have a div, and inside the div we have our h1 and h3, and we can give this div an ID so we can style it easier. The ID could be header text, and we can come back to our style and just underneath these I'm gonna select the header text, so hash header text, and I'm gonna say I want the background image, and then URL, go and copy image address again, and I go and paste the URL here. Let's check that out. So you can see it has a background color, but in order to see more of it we have to increase the height of the section. So that is header text. You can say we want the height of the section to be 500 pixels. Oops, that's a lot. Let's say 400 pixels. And also we want to see as much as of the picture as we want. So you can say background size cover. Right, that looks pretty nice. We have a nice header image. We have an H3 and an H1. Again, we have some space there, so if you just inspect again to see where that space is coming from, and we can see that it's actually a margin of the H1, so the H1 also has a margin of 21 pixels in this case. So we want to go to our style.css and make sure that H1 has no margin, so margin 0 pixels. Okay, so this is our header. It's getting there. We got some headings, subheadings, we got a nice background image and a navbar, and we will learn about how to position them on the page in the next section. So in section 1 we'll use Flexbox to set out the layout of the section, and then we'll come back to this to arrange the elements on the page as well.